Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to our match preview show as we look ahead to this weekend's game between Brighton and Ipswich, the return of the Premier League, having gone through an international break. Only three games into a season. How are we feeling as we build up to the return? Obviously, Brighton on the horizon of a fantastic start under their new manager. How are we feeling as we head into it? As always, we can't do it without you wonderful people at home, so please do get active in our live chat. Get all your thoughts, your feelings, predictions, expected 11s, goal scores, etc. If you can't join us on a Wednesday night, well, I hope you had a lovely Wednesday evening, but comment for that algorithm. Let us know in the comments all your opinions and thoughts. And of course, if you're playing Survivor, which we'll get to a little bit later on in the show, but if you are playing Survivor, get your Survivor prediction in. For those that are perhaps lost which team they selected in weeks 1 and 2, I have got a spreadsheet. I will be showing it, so don't panic, don't worry. I can remind you. But yeah, get active in our live chat, hit the like button, and of course, don't forget we are partnered with Match Bingo. Play Match Bingo, win cash prizes, and while you play, you do also support the crucial work of the East Anglian Air Ambulance, a vital service. I'm sure you'll agree. Bingo cards available. Check out their app. You can download their app wherever you get your app. So Google, App Store, whichever sort of phone you've got. I've only ever had an iPhone, so if you've not got an iPhone, I can't tell you where to find it, but I can tell you it would be on your App Store. Search Match Bingo, and play Match Bingo and win cash prizes. Over 18s only. Be gamble aware. And we start the evening, my friends, with having had a great show on Monday. Which you haven't seen, do jump back and check it out. But ITFC Bid was Mr. Generous in that chat. He gave away 7 Talking Town memberships, and he's kicked us off tonight with 5 Talking Town memberships. So if you are one of the lucky people in the chat right now that have now got a green name and you didn't click join on YouTube and paid $4.99, you've been gifted it by ITFC Bid. So do head over to our Discord, links in the community tab, get active on there. It's always popping up over there on the conversation stakes in regards to Ipswich Town. So ITFC Bid, we salute you. Thank you ever so much for your kind generosity. It's truly appreciated. Thank you ever so much. For 5, let us know if you've been the lucky person to get one of those. Great. Right. As we enter the sim, I am joined by not 1 but 2 wonderful people. Joining me first and foremost is the man we all call Milk Tray Man, Ben Adams. Ben, how you doing?
I'm really good, thank you, Gav. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Not too bad. Good. Excited to be back following the international break. How have you spent the last sort of week to 10 days?
Well, apart from working, just looking forward to the next game. I honestly think the international breaks are just if I was king for a day, I would ban them. Some useless trying to work out permutations of teams. All the most important players have a risk of going out there getting absolutely injured. I've been looking at all of our players out there, and now we're in a higher league. There's a lot more of them out there. Just hoping no one gets hurt, and it puts the whole machine on hold, and I really wanted us to build on that good performance against Fulham, and then this bloody break comes in.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to be back now that all the sideshow's over, back to the real football.
Absolutely. And rounding off the team this evening is the one, the only, the peaky one, Mr. Mark Tuxford. Mark, how you doing?
Hello, mate. You all right?
Hey, man.
I'm very well. Is that one of your new caps from America?
No, this is an older one.
Oh, is it?
But it's part of the collection, so yeah.
Are all the new ones in a case in a cabinet with all honeymoon photos, and it's like memories, live, life, laugh, or whatever it is, like all those sort of things.
They are in a collection. They're on a shelf. So yeah.
I think we need to see a picture of this shelf at some point. You need to send me a picture and I can get it in the Discord, because we need to see the Mark Tuxford wall of hats, because there's some good ones in there from the honeymoon. Which is your favourite one? I know we're off topic here, but which is your favourite one?
Oh, it's got to be the Green Bay Packers.
Unscripted swear word about to come out of my mouth there, you absolute. Oh. No, it's not. Don't tease me like that. It's green and yellow. How can you like green and yellow, Mark? Come on.
Yeah, it's not my favourite hat.
You said it now.
But I knew it would piss you off, so I thought I'd say it. I think my favourite one is actually the San Francisco one, because obviously I went to the baseball while I was there. So, yeah.
Beautiful place. And obviously I asked Ben how he spent the international break. How did you spend it? Now you're a married man. Did you take the wife out? Did you wine her? Did you treat her nice?
I actually watched the England game, so she wasn't really wined and dined. but I watched the England game last night, and obviously against Ireland a couple of days ago as well. So yeah, but I do agree with what Ben said earlier. It's one of those where I don't think anyone really enjoys the international break. So it'd be good to get back to real football this weekend, really.
Yeah, Richard Chandler says very tough game coming up. I think a point away at Brighton even better is a great result, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But while we were away, there was 2 new contracts handed out to Wes Burns and Christian Walton. I'll break them apart and I'll give you one each to discuss. Tux, as I brought you in last, I'll start with you. I'll give you Wes Burns, a new deal for Wes Burns. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not really a surprise to me. I suppose it is a bit of a surprise in the sense when he was offered while he's injured. However, he's been a very important player for us for the last 2 to 3 years since he's been with us since signing from Fleetwood. So, a really good player. I think a lot of our football has gone through him in that time period, and has obviously been integral to what we've achieved so far under McKenna. So, I don't think there's any Ipswich fan that would say that he's undeserving of that. I think obviously he's got his work to prove to get back into the side in a sense. But otherwise, I can see him being a bit more of a fixture in the side once he's back to full fitness. So, yeah, it's a good to get these important players tied down to contracts because under Marcus Evans, it was a case that it was sort of forgotten about, to be honest, in terms of important players. Lots of players would often have their contracts running down. So it's refreshing to see that we are, organised in that department.
Very much a well-deserved contract, said Richard Chandler, Ben, and I agree with him. Absolutely well-deserved, and all that comes with that new deal, and he deserves it. And he's now got to obviously get himself back fit, but he's got that competition on the right with Ogbene coming in. And what are your thoughts on the contract?
On Burns, I think it's partly reward. I think he has been, you could argue, our star man, getting us through the whole journey for coming up here. I think he was the first signing from Ashton. I think it was it McKenna or Ashton? I can't remember. It was one of the first ones through the door at the very least. Yep. And he's just been integral. And Ashton. I think he can make the step up. He's one of the ones that are going to go with us. And the competition for him is stiffer now than it's ever been. He was. You can argue that he didn't have to try as hard to get in the side in certainly League One and certainly in the Championship. So he will have to work harder and raise his game to play that part in the season. I think he will. I really do think he will. I love Wes Burns. In 20 years' time, we'll all remember him. He's part of the folklore of actually what got us here. And he's been richly rewarded as well. So good for him.
I agree with that, Ben. I think he hasn't really had any competition since he's been here for that position. You could say that like Caden Jackson has been part of that, certainly other kind of wingers maybe we've had on loan or things like that, but he's never really had that real competition for me. No. So having someone like Ogbene's come in and keep him on his toes will only do him some good, I think.
I agree. Yeah, will it propel him to be a better Wes Burns? And you think if he's the quality, and Kieran's not going to dish out contracts to people who don't think they can be part of the journey. Although I don't think they would have not offered him one. But I think Kieran sees in him what we all see in him, which is with competition, it'll actually make him better, I think.
No, I think you're right. This is now no longer Sentiment FC. It's no longer Social Club FC. It very much is business at the first and forefront of everything we do. And they would not even entertain the idea had they not been very confident, as us fans are, and rightfully so, having seen him play, that he's going to be a big part of the team and the squad and the development and the evolution towards getting to where our opponents on Saturday are now. That's eventually where we want to end up, and I'm sure we'll touch on that more throughout the show. But he's definitely a part of where we want to get to, and another player who's been with us since League One days. Another deal for him, Christian Walton. Your thoughts on that, Ben? Because that's a bit more surprising, just because you bring in Muric as for a big money fee. Walton's got 1 year left. You imagine he wants to play football. That was a little bit more surprising just because of those elements. But what are your thoughts on it?
I agree, and it's the right decision. I think for all parties, you need 3 goalkeepers, so that unless you're going out and finding another one. I don't want to go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole here, but
he's going to anyway.
Yeah, I probably signposted that. But being offered, from what I understand, is a healthy and very good contract. when the goalkeeper we bought has not been great so far, apart from one fantastic save given. But he's not been great, and there's some stuff outside of football going on that I don't really want to go into, but it's all a bit murky. Of all the players that are coming to the club, it's the one that just feels a bit...
You got a question mark?
Not quite. Yeah, I do have a question mark, and I don't want to cast shade on him, and it's early in his town career, and he will be coached like everyone else, and we trust in Kieran. But I've just got this funny feeling that Christian Walton will be for Muric what Hadley was for Walton in the Championship. You might see a lot more of Walton than you think. Now, Walton went into the Championship. No, I know you don't think so. I you have a very different opinion. We all thought it would be Walton going into the Championship. He got injured and Halaki came in and he was irreplaceable. It might not happen like that because that circumstance. But it was surprising that the goalkeeper you didn't think made himself invaluable. I've just got this funny feeling you're going to see more of Walton than the odd cup game. It's just makes sense to me. But if not, then a very good number 2 to come in, who is in my opinion a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I'll push back. I know Tux is a big Walton fan. I'll get your thoughts on that in just a moment. I'll just push back a little bit on that. You mentioned the start. It was Man City. They'll make many teams who are far better than Ipswich Town Football Club in the Premier League this year look silly. In fact, they did the week after against Man City, against West Ham. It's Man City. I mean, so we need a little bit more perspective from my opinion on that performance. Yes, it wasn't great. Yes, we didn't help ourselves. Yes, he didn't help himself. But it was Man City. It was his debut. We've seen worse debuts. I think Walton's debut came in a heavy defeat to Bolton. So to do that, and obviously what you're referring to obviously is the international weekend news coming out about Muric. So that's what you're referring to there. But again,
it's a narrow window, mate. I think you can get a glimpse of where players are at in these little moments in football, and usually it's a flash of genius. You think, oh, his confidence is sky high. Only a player at the peak of his powers can do something like that. Wes Burns with that lovely outside goal. That's a player at the peak of his powers and the top of his game doing something amazing. The inverse, I believe, is also true. Now, look at the last 15 minutes of Fulham. Looked really, really, really nervous. And fair enough, man. Look, your first, game at home, second game at home, all these sorts of things. I get that. I really do. But it's just these little moments I'm thinking there's a confidence issue there as well. And confidence is a hard thing for a goalkeeper, especially one where every team's going to be attacking this. So he will have to raise his level to the point where most teams are going to come and try and dominate us. And he's going to have to be good all of the time. And as we learnt against Man City, as we learnt against Liverpool, it only takes 10 minutes of something not going quite right to get absolutely smashed to pieces. It's a bit of a cynical view given. And I want him to do well. And by all accounts, he's a very good keeper. But games are won and lost in moments, as we have seen 2 out of 3 times. And I'm just cautious about those moments with Muric, because it could have cost us at Fulham, it cost us at Man City, and it cost us at not so much Liverpool, but you get what I mean.
So you've got those feelings. Well, I've done completely the other end of the scale. I'm very confident in the goalkeeper, and I've said I've gone on record in this show on social media, which once you've said on social media, everyone knows that's it. You can't ever change your mind. But I've said he'll be a big player for us this season. He'll be one of the biggest, if not the bigger players throughout the course of the season. I think he's got all the intangibles, all the attributes that you look for, that you want in a goalkeeper, Tux, that you want to play out from the back. But Walton, Texas Tractor Boy says, in my opinion, all of these contracts are a hedge against free transfer status. Call me cynical, but I'm skeptical of American investors, says Texas Tractor Boy. What are your thoughts on that comment, but also the Walton contract?
I think the whole Walton thing for me, I thought was quite a surprise, but also quite strange in that the start of the season, Walton was ripped of his number 1 jersey. So I thought, to me, that was probably going to be Walton potentially going, certainly not first choice, with Muric getting the number 1 shirt. So to then sort of come out and sign a new deal, I did find quite surprising. But then at the same time, he is a dependable number 2 at the very least. And he is a good goalkeeper. I suppose the thing that lets him down, or the thing he's not so good at, is with the ball at his feet. We all know that. Muric is better with the ball at his feet. I do agree with Ben in the sense that he has been nervy. He has been call it dodgy potentially. But I think the difference with him is that he is good with his feet, and obviously we play like that as a team. So we play from the goalkeeper straight up. So I suppose one thing I would say about that is that his kicking for me, his distribution of the ball, I think is quite poor from what I've seen so far.
You mean Muric?
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends what you want from a goalkeeper. I've said it on this show a few times. What do you want from your goalkeeper? Do you want them to have, good distribution, ball at the feet, or do you want them to save you, potentially 3 points at the end of the day? So that's what you've got to consider. But at the same time, I do sort of agree with you, Gov. I do think that with a run of games and confidence, he could be like what Halaki has been last season, where there certainly was moments of nerves, but ultimately he got better. And I think there's a lot of the fan base that would have said keep Halaki. So you wouldn't have been saying that a year ago.
True.
There's an unfair question I want to ask you both, because it's only a few games into the season, but based on what you've seen now, 270 minutes of football from Muric, would you have rather kept Halaki than bought Muric based on what you've seen so far?
I would have rather we got Muric like we have done. Personally, because once if my manager Kieran McKenna says this is the guy, not just the guy, not just a here's a free agent list, pick a name out of that mark. This is the guy, and you spend money on him, and you invest in him as a player and as and everything else. That to me says, because I what I know compared to McKenna ain't worth knowing, So just that's the confidence I get from it, and then I also Tux, to bring you in on what Ben's asked. You can't really take what he's done so far as a fair sample size. You're right,
actually, because to be fair, Walton played the first game, so I'm wrong on that. It's 2 games, isn't it? Really? So yeah. Okay.
But you still couldn't, even if he'd played that first game, you still can't take it, Tux, as from my perspective anyway, a fair sample size, because one's Man City, and the debut wasn't great. The nerves were there. You could see it all day long. The nerves were there, and those nervy moments against top teams like that, they get punished, particularly as a goalkeeper. Had he been a centre forward, he may have ballooned 3 shots into the stand, and people wouldn't have, reacted as negatively perhaps as they did. And then last week, I thought he was excellent for my money. Really, I thought he was commanding. I thought he did everything he wanted him to do. A few moments, but I think with all goalkeepers who play with their feet, there's always going to be moments, Tux.
Yeah, no, I agree. Going back to the point of Halaki, I wouldn't have kept him anyway, even if we signed Muric or not. So, and that's more from a point of view. I just didn't think that Halaki was good enough for the Premier League personally, and I would have had Walton over Halaki from that point of view. But Muric coming in again, we know why he's come in, because he's good with his feet, and that's the way we play. So I expect him to be given a run in the side, unless we lose 8-0 or conceding stupid goals. Then I expect him to give a run on the side. But we go back to the point of confidence. You can't take a goalkeeper out unless you know nothing about football. You can't take a keeper who's just signed for the club and then just take him out, because that's going to destroy his confidence. If anything, that would destroy the team's confidence in some respects. So while I like Walton, I don't think it's probably time for him to come in as yet. And there's still a lot of football to play. So, I'd like to sort of lean more towards what Gav is saying, that, you'd like to think he'd become good in the end.
Fascinating debate, though, either way, really. Fascinating, a debate, because many fans will have it up and down, the country. And, of course, Halaki has those points in the bank through the year, last year, where he's now part of that folklore, that fairy tale that, when you look back, he's part of it, and the emotion starts to run. So, of course, it's still very strong. But I'd say you look at this again 3 months down the line, January, etc., and you start to really then look back over a collective body of work to really, truly grade it. Otherwise, from my perspective, Ben, and I'm sure it isn't, but it feels a bit like knee-jerk, a knee-jerk reaction to a Man City game.
There
was a heavy defeat.
I own the shit out of that, and I'm just reading the comments actually. I think I'm probably alone in my suppositions, but there's a good comment that actually said I did say a few seasons back the same when Morsey came in. For the first few games, he wasn't very good.
I'm not going to mention that.
I'll stand by. I didn't quite go to the McKenna outplace where that was going, but Morsey had a few games where he wasn't very good at all, and it took him time. So in fairness, if I'm balanced, I would say, okay, we gave Morsey the time and we believed in what he could be, and he became what he could be. So I really hope the same would be with Murich.
All right, moving it on as we head into Brighton. Great opinion and great debates. If you've got anything to say on what you've heard, get it in the live chat or comment if you're watching on catch up. But we are doing a Survivor League. So we're now in week 3 of the Survivor League. The rules are very simple. You can only select one team once. You've got 2 lives. And once your team... Bye, Tux. Brilliant. See you, Tux. Thanks for coming. Basically, your team is eliminated if they lose, or it's a home draw, as in the sense if you lose a life. So these are the results from week 2, just to bring it up on the screen. So if you are playing with us at home, there are your teams that you have selected. In the comments, how you enter is you leave a comment in the comment section of this show, not in the live chat, in the comment section. So as you can see, there was plenty of reds last week, Ben. Plenty of reds. Chelsea, Ipswich let the sides down there. So Josh Russell went for Ipswich, but obviously it was a home draw, and that counts as a defeat. Whereas an away draw counts as a win. All right. So if you're playing, please do get involved. There you go. I'll take it off the screen now. And I'll just run through, before we go into Ipswich Town Brighton, the games this week that you can choose from. I'm sure you already know them, but I'm being mega helpful. So these are the games. I'll ask each of you just to give me one team you think will either win or at the very least get an away draw, because that's what classes a win in the Survivor League. So, for example, if Man City was to draw at home to Brentford, that classes as a defeat, and you've lost a life. So, I mean, you probably would choose Man City. But who would you go for, Ben? Who'd you fancy out of this week's?
I'm probably not the right person to ask this Survivor thing. You're asking me who I think is going to win out of what's in front of me, or
yeah,
what, all of them?
Well, they can't all win.
What, one team who's going to win out of everything?
One team. Give me one fixture, one banker.
Oh, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest.
Liverpool, Nottingham Forest. All right, so you go.
Yeah,
you go Liverpool. If you've not chosen Liverpool yet, you could go Liverpool. Tux, what do you think? One banker, one guaranteed either win or at least an away draw to keep you into next round.
I think banker is City at home, and then a draw could be Fulham, West Ham potentially.
Ooh, okay. Because obviously you can only choose the team once throughout the course of the game. So if you want to try and get rid of a Fulham, for example, or whatever, you've got to be tactical about it. You've got to look at it and think, could they win it? Could they just get a draw from it? It's going to get tricky. But if you are playing, please leave the comment after the show in the comment section, not in the live chat, because I can't access the live chat post-show. It doesn't show me it, so I can't take it as an entry. That's the only reason why I say leave it in the comments, because then I can jump back like I did today on the Fulham preview and go, right, which one got it wrong this week? But there we go. Now, moving on. Brighton versus Ipswich. Before we do, don't forget, if you are enjoying the content, it's half time. Hit the like button and subscribe. And we are partnered with SolarWise Roofing and Building Services Limited. Be wise this autumn. Go with SolarWise Roofing and Building Services. They are giving out roof checks, or they're not giving out. They're offering roof checks. So if you want to get your roof checked before the autumn, before the winter, as someone once said, winter is coming. Winter is coming. So please do give SolarWise Roofing and Building a call on 01206 628 544. That's 01206 628 544. At SolarWise Roofing and Building, you've got a whole manner of different things, not just roof checks. They do, roofing, obviously, solar panels. Not that you're going to get much sun now, let's be honest.
No.
I mean, that's probably gone a little bit, but still, roll with me, people at home. And building services. So that's SolarWise Roofing and Building. Right, Brighton, Ipswich, give me your thoughts. Ben, start with you. Thoughts coming into this game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough game. When you look at Brighton, you could probably argue they're one of the few form teams in the Premier League right now, based off the first few games. I think they're third or something like that, or fourth. When I last checked.
Third. Yeah, they are third.
Yeah, haven't lost a game yet, including their 4-0 cup win. They are. You kind of alluded to it earlier, and we were chatting before, which is they are the team that we need to be in 5 years' time if we survive this year. They are bright. They are bought beautifully. They are an expansive, hard team to play against. And I think this is going to be a real battle of tactics on the weekend between two young, fresh managers starting their first Premier League season. It'll be really interesting, Kieran McKenna's Brighton's almost kind of what could have been. So I've done the research on them, right? I've gone into the forums and the podcast, all this different thing. And from what I can determine and watching a few of the highlights, they play more easily against an expansive team. If a team will expansively come at them, they can contain that and counter really well. What they don't like at all is playing against a low block. So what they were saying about Kieran McKenna is, if he's the tactician that everyone thinks he can be, will he adjust Ipswich style to kind of do a low block counter-attacking football, which they really find hard. They really struggle with. So I think it will be a real battle of tactics. I think it will be a very, very tight game, like a really, really tight game. And it will be interesting to see if there is a swap in tactics between each manager, depending how we go with each other. But you got to say, this is a team banging form right now who have bought aggressively in the transfer window. And we have to, like every week, be our very, very best.
Do you know, we've been doing the show 4 years, and I once heard you use the phrase low block.
I have to put it in there.
In the Premier League,
Well, I spout so much weird stuff about my opinions of football and the team. I have to factually sound like I know what I'm talking about every now and again.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, there you go.
If you watch this back, you'll probably see my face just sort of change into a massive smile, because in 4 years, I've never once heard Ben Adams talk about a low block.
I have no idea what I'm talking about.
It was great. Oh, so what Premier League football does to you, see, Tux? We all start to digest the 2024 coaching manual. Ben, I'm really teasing with you, but I love it. Tux, Bill, just tack on to what Ben sort of said there with your thoughts.
Well, I think the most pressing thought is I'm just going to ask Colin Plum if he's okay, because he's just said 2-2, and normally he says a win, doesn't he? He's Mr. Positive.
Yeah, Mr. Positive's gone. Not so positive this week, it would seem.
No.
Yeah, Brighton is an interesting team, though, because they've obviously, I said at the start a while ago, it's where they're a team we want to really emulate, particularly because they've now, this window just gone was the fruition of a plan for them, wasn't it? They've been really aggressive, spent a fair bit of money, but instead of it being, Brighton spent a bit of money, you can see the progression, but also the plan of how they've maneuvered themselves in the market to get to the place to be able to be that aggressive. And obviously the results early doors have paid off, but that's the ideal team to be sort of looking at to emulate, isn't it, I guess?
Yeah, I think they've acted upon probably what was quite a difficult period from last season, because they weren't at their best for part of the season. Obviously having a new manager, that seems to be going all right for the moment. So they've acted at the right time, bought well, as Ben said. So it's a difficult game, but every game's difficult in this league. So yeah, and I completely agree with Ben as well that it is going to be, a tactical kind of masterclass, but from which manager, who knows? Because obviously it's going to be the winning manager who takes applaudit. So, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. So.
Yeah, okay. We'll get to the scores in a little bit. I'll counter both those. Look, this counterpoint doesn't mean it's going to be an easy game. It's going to be a very difficult game. They're a very good side with very good players. But we've seen momentum.
I feel optimism coming. I can sense it.
International breaks, right? We said at the start of the show, 3 games into a season, crazy. We're just getting started and bang, you got to stop. Well, for the momentum pushers, which Brighton have won, that can be a negative because it disrupts your rhythm. You then have to come back into it. Do you pick it up straight away or do you stumble? And for those that have struggled, like an Everton, for example, they can be great because it gives you a chance to reset and reapply yourself. Now, obviously, we're playing Brighton, so I'm hoping, guys, this is they don't hit the pitch up from minute 1 to minute 90 on Saturday, and it's like they never left. I hope they stumble. I hope it's a little bit of all the momentum's being pushed a little bit or halted, etc. What are your thoughts on that wave of optimism I've just sort of thrown at you, Tux?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think from our point of view, I thought the international break came at a fairly good time, especially with sort of injuries that we have had, and getting the players back to full fitness, those that are kind of missing closer, sort of like George Hurst and players like that. So I know he's still got a while to come back, but it's another week down. So that's a good point. Obviously, we've had 2 tough games to start with. Fulham, I thought we did fairly well at, to be honest with you. I didn't think we put a foot wrong there, really. I didn't think Fulham troubled us all that much. So I would say that Brighton is a similar game to Fulham in a sense that it is technically a winnable game. It's not a Liverpool, it's not a City. So you'd like to think with some confidence in there, especially off the back of the performance against Fulham, which again, I think we should have won. Then if we take that into that, then obviously we can try and get something from that. But that's where the international break does come in, because obviously you've had players, Shmodics, Ogbeni, Twanzebe, all players that have gone away and played international football. Does that come into effect with that? They've had to play a different way of playing because they've not been with us. They've been adopting international, tactics essentially. So yeah, it will be interesting. But I suppose there's pros and cons with the international break coming into this, I suppose.
Okay, Ben?
Yeah, it's a tough one because we've had we've had a few players out as well, not on the training ground. And so you can argue that any momentum we've had, same applies, and we're a team that has been essentially built from scratch as far as the depth of the buying we've done. So it'll be a really tough one. It's a really hard one to call, isn't it? Because we're the away team, and you think you're going to go defensive. We've had defenders away. I don't know how to call it. It's really tough. I just think whatever disruptions Brighton have had, we've all had, because every team in the Premier League has international players. So we're all kind of suffering from the same thing. So that first 10 minutes of the game is absolutely fucking crucial. Whoever sets the store out in the first 10 minutes, there will be your game, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Now, I've asked the score prediction this week from Ben, and I asked Tux for his expected 11. So, Tux, here is your predicted 11. Talk us through it, and then, Ben, you can counter it with whether you agree or, if you disagree, where you would potentially be looking to make the change. But, Tux, this is your 11, correct?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Talk us through it.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much unchanged from the last time we played against Fulham, I believe. So,
It certainly is.
Yeah, obviously, I think that team is probably our strongest available to us currently, and it's probably not too far from our best side, to be honest. So, yeah, I think certainly the back four for me is sort of unchanged, really.
Yep.
I think Twanzebe just gets ahead of Johnson because I feel that someone like Matoma for Brighton will really cause problems. I feel like that really needs a proper defender to deal with him. So I feel like Twanzebe would be best there. Phillips obviously had a very good game, in my opinion, against Fulham. So you want him to carry on with that and build a partnership with Morsey. And it's the front four that, again, is probably our strongest available to us at the moment. I did think that potentially it might be a game for Chaplin to come in.
Okay.
And it could be that, especially if it's, down to international football, if there's tiredness there or someone's picked up a niggle or whatever else, then it might be that Hutchinson goes out wide and maybe Chaplin starts in the middle. But I think ultimately this is probably our strongest, and we should probably start to build this core of team, especially off the back of the performance against Fulham.
All right, Ben, you agree with it? Would you make any tweaks to it? What are your thoughts?
No, not really. I think I agree. It's probably our strongest team. The only thing I might think maybe is putting Jack Clark in. Is he? I mean, when he came on, he just looked absolutely bloody phenomenal. But the players who's in his place is also phenomenal. So I think it's a really good team. I totally agree with Twanzebe because he is a, how would you call it? He's a cool, calm Rolls Royce of a defender, and against who's coming at him, I think that's exactly what you need. He's quite a calm character and he reads the game well, and he's got a very pacey player coming up against him. So I can't disagree with that team. I think I mean that the guarantee is the team that starts will not be the team that finishes. Jack Clark to play as he was not on international duty. Yeah, that's a fair point. Extra week of training, so that's the only thing I might swap out. But there'll be a lot of changes in that game. It will depend what system is, but I think we're going to start as a counter-attacking team. We might even go more expansive. Let's see. It's a good team. I can't argue it.
Yeah, that was my only eyebrow raise, I guess, but not in a he's playing him over him, but in more of a I'll maybe see it as more of a game for Jack Clark. And that could just be me because I'm a big Jack Clark fan. That was the only thing. When I looked at 11 tucks, I was like, I would have played Jack Clark. But, you're not going to be upset if Smodics is out wide on the left, not one bit. That's the position we've got to as fans now, where you're not, really? Oh, okay, yeah, fine. I can see the merits of that. He's a great player, so you're going to go with it.
I think Jack Clark is a great option to have, and obviously I think he'll come to start games as we go through the season. But I think ultimately my thoughts behind it were mainly that we've had a lot of change since the start of the season. So I feel like it's important to kind of have a bit of a settled side. We know what McKenna's like, where he will chop and change players based on tactics and the side that we're facing. But ultimately, we have had a lot of change, and based on the performance we played last time out against Fulham, then none of them really were that bad. And obviously, Jack Clark came on and did well, but that's not to say he can do that against Brighton. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And I'd say Smodics, top goals from the Championship last season. It's a great place to be in as a fan when you're, discussing two absolutely wonderfully talented players, as opposed to some of the years we've sat here, doing the podcast, but as fans in a pub or whatever, and you think, really, who else are you going to play? Well, yeah, I suppose that's a fair point. Who else are you going to play? We're now talking about absolute Rolls Royces of players, and it's exciting time. And Brighton play with, I believe, out on that wingers, so maybe a game to combat that, or maybe the tactical manual. I don't know. Ben's read it more recently than I have. It sounds like, but I
think Tux's point there is actually a really great point. To be fair, which is in a team of a squad of so much change, when they're really trying to find what system suits them, if they're being coached, there is something to be said for settling a team and just sticking with it as a base team to work from. And the Fulham game was a really good game. So it's a really fair point. Have your base, and you want to try and utilise that against a team like Brighton rather than a team like Arsenal. If this was Arsenal coming up, I might be a bit more brave in my team selections, or a bit more kind of let's try that. But actually, you're right. Actually, that's a really great point. That let's build something that's consistent, and then the team that we hopefully will win games will work out from that. Brighton would be a good team to start that against. Yes, good.
Excellent. You two are rocking and rolling. It's like working with seasoned professionals. It truly is, and I'm just the amateur in the middle.
Apart from my goalkeeping selections, but yeah.
No, hey, I've got a comment. I'll come to towards the end. That's in support of you, Ben. So you're not alone. Jesus. As I said, you wouldn't be alone. This is a conversation. Yeah.
1 out of 1,000 is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we won't go that far, but yeah. But hey, they're sticking up for you, Ben. So I will read it out in just
they or he.
So score predictions we'll come round to. This time I asked Ben for the score prediction, and I'm now going to place it on the screen. Here it is, Ben. You've gone for a 1-1. I've gone for a momentum slip from Brighton, and I've gone for a 2-1. But I'm a town podcaster, so guilty. Ben, why 1-1 before I get Tux's score? And by the way, if you're watching at home, get your comments in now for your score prediction.
Firstly, I'm sending you a different picture than what the hell you've got there. That's a midway through COVID picture. Long. Oh God, I look terrible. Anyway,
I'll welcome pictures. Don't worry.
Aside from Al Jazeera down there, yes, I've gone from 1-1, and I think 1-1 is going to be the representing the tightness of the game, and that I think each manager will try different tactics to counteract the other, and it will be tight as hell. I see Delap scoring. I mean, of all the signings, I'm thinking, holy shit, that's the one that's kind of caught me a bit off guard of how good he is. Actually, I didn't think he'd be that good. And then you think to say, well, hang on a minute, he's from Man City and it cost £20 million. What the hell were my expectations? But so I think it will be 1-1 against two very good tactically aware teams, against two very good tactically aware managers. we'll low block the fuck out of it until we frustrate them, and I think we'll leave with a point. It'll be a bloody good point as well, by the way.
Okay. Tux, your score prediction, please.
It's a bit of a tough one.
Maybe you see it on the screen already, and you just want to go agree with that one.
I mean, I can see sort of both arguments for your score predictions there, because I think from your point, Gov, obviously it's that there could be some momentum building here with us to get that win, and obviously that maybe catches Brighton off guard somewhat. But also, I agree with Ben that it would be a good point to take away from the game. So I think on that basis, I would probably go for a draw as well, to be honest.
A draw?
Can we do what
1-1,
Manchester United
2-2?
can?
I'd go for a 1-1 personally.
1-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've gone 1-1. Ben's gone 1-1.
We've got to do better than what Man United did. That's what we've got to do.
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, yeah, they lost. So yeah,
God,
definitely.
that's so weird. That is so weird to say out loud on a game that's coming up. My brain is still at Fleetwood. That's how quickly this whole thing. We've got to do better than what Man United did against them. What the hell dimension are we living in? I fucking love it.
Absolutely. Marcellus says 2-2. Harp says 1-1. Richard Chandler says 2-2. Paul Smith says 1-1. Kerry says 2-1 Town. Chris Taggart says 1-0 Town. Golston Ghost, who are, you can tell who he supports from the username, says 4-1 Pedro hat-trick. Play your triple captain, people. So he's very confident. It's Golston Ghost. Harps love Hurst, but Delaki's on the bench when he's back. Richard Chandler, Delap and Hurst. That is some number 9. That is some number 9 battle when Hurst is fit to be a starting contender. Get your score prediction. Get your thoughts on that one in. We've got Kieran 2-1 Town. So I mean, we ain't a million miles away with what we've got on the screen here, gentlemen. Because the chat are seemingly going with one or the other, be it a 1-1 or a 2-1 win. I've yet to see a Brighton win other than the Brighton fan in the chat. So, take that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think how many of our score predictions over the past 2.5 years have been, 4-1, we're going to beat them 3. What teams can you say come up this year we're going to be at that level? They're all going to be draws or narrow wins, right through until the end of the season, I think. So it's only ever going to be something like this. It feels weird not to say, I think we're going to smash 3 past them. If the lap's on fire, there is no team in this league I'm going to say that against this year, because I'm not naive. I do miss that. I'm not going to lie. So it's all going to be tight. The question should be, what do you think by the narrowest of margins the score will be this year, apart from when we get Man City or Arsenal or something?
Well, that's a good place to finish with our last topic of the evening, which is a points prediction for September. 3 games coming up. Obviously, Brighton being one of them. You're both going for a point to kick us off in September. So that makes it a little bit easier for you both. But the other 2 games outside of Brighton, it's Brighton away, Southampton away, and Aston Villa at home, live on Sky, with the press box or the press TV studio having probably been built by them. But yes, what is a points prediction for September? Ben, what do you think? 5 coming from where? So 1 from Brighton.
Southampton, I think we beat. I really, really think we beat Southampton. I think that will be our first win of the season. And Aston Villa, it's the fan in me. A draw. Is that home or away? Did you say home?
Southampton?
No, Aston Villa.
At home, live on Sky.
Yeah, I think a point. Rocking Portman Road after a good win against Southampton. Bedding our team in by then. 5 points in September.
Tux?
I couldn't make my mind up on either 4 points or 5 points. But it's kind of similar to what Ben's thinking. So a point, obviously, with Brighton. For the 4, I'd say Southampton is a win. I'd agree with that. But whether it's 4 or 5 is based on Villa. I don't know whether we would get maybe a draw there potentially.
Yeah. Do I go all in on the Kool-Aid drinking tonight and just go 9? Do I dare do it? Do I dare douse myself in the Gatorade of Kool-Aid and just really immerse myself in the 9? No, is the truthful answer. Probably not.
I was going to say this international break's really gone to your head if that is the case.
It certainly has, mate. Yeah. That would have Merlot. Look, I've gone for Brighton. I've gone for a win at Brighton, right? So I'm already 3 points. At the moment, again, but as momentum can be stopped, so can bad runs, and Southampton could be a different side by the time you play them. Or certainly have looked a different side from this weekend by the time you play them. And I've often said for the last few weeks, Aston Villa, they start their Champions League home. They have a home Champions League game 2-3 days after us. It's Bayern Munich. It's their first one at home in a long time. If distractions are going to be a distraction, that's a big distraction. That's as big as it comes in English, in English or world football, particularly as it's Bayern Munich. It isn't. I don't mean any disrespect to any team in the Champions League because they're obviously far better at this stage than us. But this is Bayern Munich. There's other teams. There's only 4 or 5 teams maybe in Europe that you would class as bigger. Real Madrid being one of them, etc. It's Bayern Munich. So I haven't gone on record as having said that before. I mean, that's 6 points with my prediction from this weekend and then that distraction. So I'm kind of talking myself in knots here because I'm now thinking I should have gone for a draw against Brighton because then I at least could have, scaled it back a little bit. But I think
when you talk realistic and you think about
which you
never do. But when you actually talk about realistic from a point of view that what teams should we beat? What teams should we be getting points on?
Southampton.
Right. So Southampton's one of those, potentially an Everton, potentially a Leicester, maybe a Wolves, right? So
not the Forest
one of those,
in there as well.
Southampton is in there. Villa is always a bit of a tricky one. But because we're at home, if we won one of those games previously, the Brighton game or the Southampton game, I agree that does give us some good momentum and confidence going into Villa at home on a Sunday. So never know.
Yeah, I'm not saying we're going to get 9 points, by the way. I'm just giving you my thought process here of how I box myself into an absolute dead end. And
so what is your points? What is your point?
I can't give you it because I've talked myself into knots. So I can't give you it. What I can tell you is I'd go further on your Southampton point and say it's a game you have to win.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be a team.
Yeah.
That are in and around.
That's huge. That game. That is under. That's low key huge, that game for us for our season.
And no game in September is must win. But it's for me in terms of relegation and the teams that are going to be around you. Southampton, the teams you just mentioned there, really well, Tux. This is one of those you certainly can't get beat. You certainly can't walk away with absolutely zero. You can't give them points, and you've got to take it from them. Particularly the team that's going to be around you. Brighton and Villa. People are looking at Brighton and Villa and thinking, "Oh, what will Brighton be after this aggressive window? Maybe a top insert number." Villa, Champions League side. No one's looking at those two games and going, "Oh, let's put Town down the coupon this week for that one because it's guaranteed or whatever." Southampton, everyone's looking at a bottom 6 side. It's not lower. So if you want to be higher than bottom 6, which we all want to be, or at least higher than 3 of those, you got to go. You got to.
This season, it will hinge on us finishing above Everton. That's how it goes that's how it rolls. Leicester have actually come up for the weaker team than when they actually got promoted, which is very rare actually for the Premier League. Southampton, they've stood absolutely still. Everton are imploding inside the club and out. If we finish, we need to finish above Everton. That for me is how I think it will go.
Well, just following on from your point, Gav, I think if you ask the Brighton fan that was in the chat tonight, he would say, and I'm sure some of the Brighton fans as well would say that we should be taking 3 points off Ipswich.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Because they're one of they should be one of the lower sides that just got promoted. We should be taking points off them. So, yeah,
spot on. Yeah, spot on. Excellent. All right. Don't forget to give Freddie a call at Stowmarket Osteopaths 014496116. No, wait, that's wrong. It's the wrong phone number. Don't phone that. I don't know who you'll get, but you won't get Freddie. So don't, whatever you do, phone that phone number. I'm just Googling it. It's got out of my head. You know you have something so now that you don't even need to get it up on the screen anymore. And then as I've started reading it, thinking that's the wrong number. 01449 613 633. That's 01449 613 633. Give Freddie a call at Stowmarket Osteopaths. He is the governor there. Tell him I've sent you from Talking Town, and he'll put you right. Or hope to try, or hopefully put you right. Stowmarket Osteopaths, don't live life in pain.
Just a quick one before we go. I'm not sure if you might have done this on the last podcast or not, but I didn't see it. But just a shout out to one of our wonderful managers and players, George
I
Burley.
was just about to.
Oh, you were there. Were you on it? I'll let you.
Over to you. No. You take it. Come on.
No, I say, look, we've recently had a couple of really wonderful legends for us. Tony Mowbray being one who's recently been very ill and looks like he's come through the other side. And now George Burley starts his journey with what he's done as a player and as a manager. From 94 to 2001, that was what I grew up with. His town team is why I fell in love, and it's when I fell in love with this town. You cut him open, he bleeds blue and white, and he's about to go through another hell of a time. So I wish him and his wife really well. I'm sure every single town supporter was saddened and concerned when they saw the news. Just sending out our love to someone that is as much a part of the DNA of this club as any person that's ever played or been in charge of it. So, I'm sure I talk on behalf of you guys and the whole fan base. We wish you well, and go kick its ass.
Yeah, well said, Ben.
Yeah, well said. And as you've said it on behalf of us two here, certainly, but also everyone associated with Talking Town. Absolutely well said. Thank you for watching this evening. Like, subscribe, and all of that wonderful business. But thank you for watching. Enjoy the game if you're going this Saturday. If not, join us for the match reaction post game. I don't think we're live again the rest of this week. No, the window's shut now. So we're not. But thank you for watching. He's been the Peak One, Mark Tuxford, Milkshake Man, Ben Adams. But thank you for watching, and we will. Yeah,
I believe you said there was a comment in support of my goalkeeper theory. I can't let it go without showing that. I can't go to bed feeling alone in my suppositions.
No, you're right. Mac at FPL says, I agree with Ben on Murich. He still has to put together a few performances to convince me he's still for number one for the Premier League, and we may see a few more Walton appearances than we think.
Macca knows.
Yeah, apparently Macca. There you go. Macca. Excellent. And ITFC Bid, thank you for the 5 membership donations. It's really appreciated. Anyway, now I can leave. The one person that supported Ben has had his comment aired and shared. But thank you for watching. Thanks for the comments, and we'll catch you at the weekend. All the best.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down low and I get blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, weird chills running down my neck. I thought went crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair.